you're watching this video, then it's likely that you want to become a cloud engineer, and I'll break it down to you in 4 steps. My name is Nuno, and I've been a cloud engineer for more than 6 years, and throughout this period I've acquired a lot of knowledge, and hopefully I can pass some of that to you. So the first step is learning the foundation skills. You should start with Linux. You need to know all the basic commands. You need to know how to SSH into a machine, how the file system works, and how to create users and manage their permissions. You also need to understand and use containers. For that, I'll recommend you to learn Docker, how to build Docker files, how volumes work, container networking, and ultimately how to run containers. Next on the list, you need to know networking, as well as the HTTP protocol and an HTTP proxy like Nginx, and you need to know REST APIs as well. Lastly, you should have some basic knowledge in terms of security, NoSQL and SQL databases, as well as some knowledge into disaster recovery. So that's it for the foundation skills. The next step is to pick a cloud provider, and out of the 3 major ones, AWS, GCP and Azure, choosing one is not an easy task, and I would recommend you to look for job listings of companies you'd like to work in and see what they are requesting in terms of cloud provider as well as other tools, and that should guide you through your learning process. After creating the account, just start messing with the console, trying to create virtual machines, databases, networking, firewall, and then once you feel comfortable using the console, just go on YouTube and try and find a free course, or if your budget allows for it, there are good options on Udemy for a decent pricing as well. I'll try and find links for both options and I'll leave them in the description below. You should also consider taking a certification. An entry-level one is more than enough and will help you a lot in your first job application because you have no prior experience in cloud engineering. After learning a cloud provider, then the next step is to learn Kubernetes. And Kubernetes is a container orchestration platform which is commonly used in most companies nowadays. To use Kubernetes on Mac and Windows, you just have to install Docker for desktop, which will also come with Kubernetes cluster. In the case of Linux, I recommend you to install K3s, which is a lightweight and simple Kubernetes to use. The last one will be the fun step, and it's where you automate everything. Not only you automate infrastructure provisioning, as well as software deployment on Kubernetes. When it comes to automate infrastructure deployment, I'll recommend you to use Terraform because it will work with most cloud providers, and it has a ton of modules that you can use not only to automate cloud provisioning, but as well as external DNS services and other things. To automate software deployment on Kubernetes, I recommend a combination of Helm charts and Helm file. For example, stuff like Prometheus, Grafana, and other software stacks will have a version of a Helm chart, which you can easily install on a Kubernetes cluster, and then you can build your own Helm charts as well for the software that you're building. And then the Helm file is basically in a single file, you describe all the Helm charts you're going to install for a multi-chart architecture. The last step in terms of automation, this is where you have the most options for you to choose. It's to automate code build and code deployment, and what usually is called CI/CD. And for that, I recommend you to use Jenkins, which is an open source, and it's been around for a long time now. You can find plenty of documentation examples. There are other free and paid options, for example, Circle CI, you have GitHub Actions as well. And then each cloud provider will have a version of CI/CD tooling that you can use. Some extra things to consider are security, disaster recovery, and well-architected frameworks like the one AWS offers. So those are the 4 steps that should help you become a cloud engineer. And the next steps for job hunting, I recommend you to start with a startup because of the faster pace environment. Usually they work with newer technologies, and since you will be likely wearing many hats, that will force you to learn a lot more things, which can then work for better opportunities in the future. In terms of long-term goals, I recommend you to learn a second cloud provider and go for more intermediate level certifications. That's it for the video. Leave a like if you find the content useful, consider subscribing for more, and sharing with someone that may be thinking about becoming a cloud engineer.